Warning: the opinions expressed on this particular podcast are the opinions of the hosts and the guests alone. They do not represent the Army, the police, or anything else. Simply our opinions, no one else's. Thank you and enjoy before I forget.
Hey, Tyree,
Hey, what's up?
you have a podcast, right?
Yeah, I have a podcast. It's called Before I Forget. It's on every Monday and Thursday morning.
Did you know about Anchor?
Yeah, I know about Anchor. That's what we use to distribute our podcast.
Did you know that it has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer?
Yeah, I knew about all that stuff, and we use it every single time for every single show for editing, right on our phone and right from our computer.
Did you know you can distribute your podcast on different listening platforms?
Yeah, we knew about that. We use Anchor to distribute our podcast to Apple Music, Spotify, and tons of other different platforms everywhere across the world.
Did you know that Anchor is free?
Yeah, I knew it was free because if I had to pay to use stuff, I wouldn't use it.
Hey everybody, Tyree here, and welcome to Before I Forget. For this particular episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about some touchy topics, so I'm going to issue a trigger warning. We're going to talk about suicide, religion, and some other violent shit. It's going to be a little bit more deeper than our normal episodes. If you have been having issues with suicide ideations and things like that, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Good evening and welcome to Before I Forget.
You just jumped right into it. What
Hey,
the
man.
fuck?
I thought that'd be funny. Just
Yeah.
fucking off the
You're-
bat, just fucking
Bam.
Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was don't even let me get my feet together or anything, man. Just
I mean, get them together. We're here.
here we are.
We're going.
Hey, I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's you, but I hear static. And I don't know if it's just in my ears or if it's going to be in the recording.
I don't know. What about now?
Well, now I don't. What did you do?
The fan.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I know, it's all good. It's I sweat it out. It's hot. It's hot in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What are you drinking?
The same thing I always drink when we're doing podcasts.
Watermelon spritzers. All right.
Yeah. No. What are you drinking? That sounds
Water.
like weed.
Oh, no, I'm drinking water.
I definitely heard a lighter, and I definitely heard the crackle and pop of something inside of a bowl or something.
You tripping. Man, what are you talking about? Tripping.
I mean, aren't you legal to do that?
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm drinking Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I've been on a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale kick for a minute for some reason.
Yeah, and I have some Girl Scout cookies twisted up. So there you go. Here we are with our vices.
Girl Scout cookies are your vice?
Not the kind you're thinking about, bro.
Oh, gotcha. Right. Yeah. Because, you said Girl Scout cookies, and my first thought was Girl Scout cookies. And my follow-on thought was Jessica's daughter sells them or used to.
Yeah, no. I can't eat Girl Scout cookies like that, though.
What do you mean?
Remember when you was in Germany, right before you left? Fucking, they had all those Thin Mints.
Yeah. I don't like that, but yeah.
I fucking dominated those 10 minutes for that whole time you're gone. I was lazy. I didn't want to go to the buffet.
Oh, you mean like when I left, but you were still there for that? Like, how long was it? Like a week or two?
No, it was like a month then. Oh, no. It was like two weeks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was such a wild time, dude. Like,
Yeah, it was.
They just put us over there on Con Barracks and like, do what you want.
It was awesome.
Like, yeah,
I loved it.
I remember Sergeant Smith calling one day. He's like, "Hey, y'all coming in today?"
I think the best part about that was it was just so cool because we were like on that ass end of everything. We're done with everything, and now you get to really I got to explore more of Schweinfurt more than anything during that time. It was actually a pretty cool little city.
Yeah, man. Do you sometimes think that like if you went back there today, you would still remember how to get around?
Yes, I know how to get around just fine. Wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I mean there might be some intersections where I'm like,
anyway.
Yeah. Well, I used to remember at like the der Alte Stadtbahnhof, the old train station. I used to know how to like drive directly to that, and now I think back on it, I'm like, could I get there? Or the same with the Stadtbahnhof. I was like, could I get to the train station from now? I mean, could I make it down to Tabasco's? So what I did, I got on Google Maps, man, and I to Street View in Schweinfurt, and I was just walking around on Google, and dude, it's I don't know, it's just really neat to see, all these years later that like at least like the downtown area where like the rat house is and all the cobblestone. I don't know, man, it was just really neat.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, did it all look the same somewhat? Did anything change? Anything change in any technology style? Shit.
No, nothing like that. But you remember downtown? We used to go to that CD store.
Yes.
It was like a grocery store or some shit on one level, and like the CDs were upstairs.
Yeah, I went to go buy some rap music, and it was labeled black music. It was crazy.
Black music. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was with you. Yeah, man. I tried to find that place and the Derner place that we used to go to.
The CD place is called Mueller, wasn't it? Not the one that you're thinking about. It was the letters were orange.
Man, I don't even remember.
The donor place around the corner from the Rock Corner. That was the only one I liked personally.
Town like two buildings or two shops down from the CD place. That's the one I always went to.
That was just okay. That was just okay. The one around the corner from Rock Corner was the shit.
The Rock Corner. I don't remember one down there. I remember the Rock Corner, and then whatever that bar was next to it, and then further down was the ice cream shop. Mm-hmm. And then the internet cafe was down that way, wasn't it?
Yes. And a few nights ago, I said that there was a female that worked at the internet cafe. She also was a waitress at Tabasco's. I don't know if that would help it. Yeah, I know, right?
Man, I was stuck on this chick that worked at Tabasco's for the longest, dude. She worked there when we left. She was, if I'm not mistaken, she was German American, but she, lived her life in Germany. She spoke really great English. I remember her name, but I'm not gonna put it out there.
How did she look? Did she have like a tan?
I mean, well, actually, that's not a terrible question considering that we were in the area and not a lot of people there are tan.
That's why I asked her.
She was, kind of like a dirty blonde. If I had to guess, 5'8". I think she had like blue eyes, green eyes, something like that.
All right, we're talking about two different people then.
Yeah, this chick you're talking about was tan.
She was tan and had like very straight brunette hair, extremely straight, like she pressed it or some shit.
Was she Turkish?
I don't know, man. Could have been shit.
Just like naturally like olive skin tone.
Yes.
I've never understood that olive skin tone because olives are green.
I don't get it either, but that's what they say.
People from the Mediterranean are green.
Jesus had that skin tone on him.
No, not true. Jesus was white. White.
What?
Blue eyes. Perfect English.
Like the pictures?
Yep, just like the pictures, man.
Oh man. Wow.
You know, every one of those pictures of Jesus that's been painted, he sat there for. Yeah.
He's a very very patient person.
Well, you know, it's just like a new artist is like, you know, feeling inspired by the man himself, and he's like, "Dang, man, but I wish I knew what he looked like to paint him." And so every time he would just like, "Whoa," and then come down and be like, "What's up, dude?"
Sweet. Let's talk about politics.
All right then. So we've already so we covered religion.
Yeah, I'm good.
Actually, no. It is funny that you do bring that up though, because of the interaction on Instagram on one of my posts recently. That shit cracks me up, man. Like what cracks me up about it. It wasn't like you know his comments or your comment. Actually, it was specifically his comments. But like, what cracked me up about it was like I don't have a big account, man. I have just over 5,000 followers, and this dude is like coming on there and like arguing with I know like what did it was about Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash, right? We just had the anniversary of his death and the other day, and I made that post, and this guy gets on there and he's, you know, whatever, and I had made the comment about how he was bitching about how I guess like this administration is like, you know, basically like dragging their heels trying to get posthumously award this guy the Medal of Honor. And you know, I had made the comment I kind of don't want this administration to award it anyway, and only because I mean president's president. I don't give a fuck, man. Honestly, if you think that the president runs the country, you have not been paying attention to politics long enough. With that being said, the president is still the representation of the American people and our country. And man, we have not had a good run. You know what I mean? I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Biden supporter. I'm a supporter of anybody that can do a good fucking job. And man, I would even argue, and this is just, you know, my very limited, because I haven't looked into it too much, but I would argue that even Obama really didn't really come through on a lot of his promises.
He got hampered with a lot of shit.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think personally, I vote Democrat. So for the majority of my opinions are probably Democrat leaning. Yeah. But I mean, if you look at the whole Republican side, you got your Marjorie Taylor Greens over there doing some wild stuff. Fucking, you got who's that dude down there in Florida?
You don't even want to get into Florida, man. Like, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat in Florida. You're fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that whole side's crazy and nuts and a little bit fucking smelly at the same time. And here I am, like I think I'm more, like I say, I'm Democrat, but I'm like maybe more moderate. I don't know. Like I have certain things that I agree with on both parts.
So I think,
like the last time around, man, with Trump for me was just fucking. It was bad juju all the way around, man. I just can't. Yeah. And I've been. I'm not going to get too deep into that because I know certain people feel a certain way about it, but
yeah.
It's. I think Biden winning was just better, the best of two evils, I guess.
I don't know, man. Honestly,
which is a really fucked up thing to say because I hate saying that too. That's not a cool thing to say.
You're right. But dude, you think about. I mean, even with Trump and Hillary, like, you know what I mean? We weren't presented with great options. Now, I will say this last election where Biden became president. I'm not going to say won because you know how people feel about that. But even this last election, there were people that ran. I say people. There was one person that ran who would be a stellar president, and she wasn't even invited to the fucking debates.
Who's that?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Homegirl from motherfucking
Hawaii. Yeah.
She's
Lieutenant Colonel in the Army, currently deployed to the Horn of Africa.
Okay, I've been deployed to. What the fuck?
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, like, Like, so the only reason I bring that up is because I firmly believe to be president, you need to have served.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was just gonna ask you, do you think that should be a fucking requirement? I think it should also. I mean, hey, folks, like, it's some things that you just won't learn in certain jobs, and at a leadership position, at the highest position, I think your sergeant, your team leader out there running shit in the middle of some wild stuff right now is probably more important to the nation than you can ever know, including the president.
True.
For that particular moment. So I think that if you have that kind of training for whatever that may be, whatever training that is, and then whatever deployment that you actually use that training on, whatever it is, not just infantry. Yeah, I think that would be a lot more beneficial to a president's fucking resume than anything else.
Yeah, man.
I would never ever vote for another president that, hey, I was a CEO of XYZ. And like, fuck, man, come on, we don't need this shit. We need somebody with some.
But you do understand like why that was so appealing at the time, right? Like,
yeah,
I get it. And that was the whole thing, right? Like, we're gonna go up there and drain the swamp because we're tired of these career politicians, and the American people really are. So why not try something different? And we did. Unfortunately, Trump doesn't know how to, be PC, I guess is a nice way of putting it. I mean, he just says whatever he wants to say. And don't get me wrong, sometimes that's good, but sometimes it's bad. Unlike, the current president who just rambles a lot and says a lot of just random words. It's, I don't know, man. It's wild. That's why
it is concerning.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want him to get up there and read the Medal of Honor citation for Sergeant Olin Cash, because I didn't want him to like fuck it up. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, stutter.
Yeah, I didn't. Like, honestly, dude, it doesn't really matter who awards it. Like, he is long overdue receiving the Medal of Honor.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, this shit should have been happened.
Yeah, man, that should have happened. I mean, he was originally put in for a Silver Star, and for people that are listening that don't really know, Sergeant Olin Cash died.
Yeah, explain this shit.
Yeah, he died. Well, he died of his wounds a couple weeks later in Germany, I believe. But in 2005, October 17th, 2005, he was a Bradley commander, and his Bradley was hit by an IED, a roadside bomb, in Samara, actually. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that. I knew about this. I knew about this all day.
Yeah. So in Samara, the same town that our unit operated in, 126 was there. We got relieved by his unit in February of 2005. Well, that October, they got hit by an IED, and his Bradley, it ruptures one of the fuel cells on the Bradley, which they take diesel, and so the whole thing goes up. Well, he's able to get out of the Bradley safely, and he does so, and he is clean and clear. But then he realizes, shit, the Bradley's on fire, and I got troops in the back, and they can't get out. So he runs over there. I guess he was on fire at this point. But anyway, I can't remember.
No. He went in. He was covered with fuel initially.
Yeah.
Actually, he was completely clean before. He goes in there, then he gets the fuel on him. He gets a couple people out. Runs back in. Yeah. Now he's on fire. He's still grabbing people and taking them out, and he continues to do this while on fucking fire. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So he's on fire, like presently burning, and complete disregard to that, man, is like pulling people out. I can't remember exactly how many he saved, 2 or 3 or 4. But he pulled them out one by one. Like, he went over there and grabbed them, pulled them out of this little troop hatch in the back. So for those listening, Bradley's, they have a ramp that goes down in the back so everybody can come out at one time. And if that should fail, there's a small troop hatch. And a troop hatch is, how was that thing, like 3.5 feet tall, 4 feet tall?
Maybe.
Yeah. And so with gear on, it is a pain in the ass to get in and out of. And I say that as a 6'2" person, you know what I'm saying? So obviously it's going to be a pain in the ass for me. But
I mean, with practice, it's not too bad.
yeah,
it's terrible. It's terrible, but it's not. I mean, if you got to get your ass out of there, you got to get your ass out of there. So to pick it, what you're saying is imagine taking dead weight, because I'm sure those guys weren't exactly 100% good to go.
Right.
And he's on fire, dragging them out of that tiny fucking hole. Okay, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Chills. Tears,
and he saved. I believe he saved all the dudes that were in the back that could be saved. Mm-hmm. But he had burns over 70% of his body, and then he was medevaced out to Landstuhl Medical Center in Germany, where he later on died. So this happened October 17, 2005. He died of his wounds November 8th. Can you imagine, dude? I mean, I'm sure they kept him on like pain meds, morphine, or whatever the shit to like keep the pain at bay. But like, come on, man.
Yeah, no, it's not enough. I mean, hopefully, he wasn't feeling much at that time. Well, no, because he's alert. Like, it just progressively got worse. I'm assuming. Was it like a death by infection? Death by?
I don't know. It didn't say. But I mean. Still, man, it's wild. It's wild that he did that. He was put in for a Silver Star, and I honestly at the time it probably should have been submitted as a Medal of Honor.
It should have been off the bat, and I'm sure those dudes, whoever did do it, put it off as a Medal of Honor. Also, I'm sure it just got downgraded.
Yeah,
because politics.
Right. Well, so they've been pushing this whole time for it to be. Elevated to the Medal of Honor, and finally it was approved that it would be done, that would happen. And so we're just waiting for that to happen, for it to be awarded. And I hate that that's the word that they use, awarded. That you are awarded the Medal of Honor, because it's an award. I went to a science fair when I was a kid. I didn't win, but I still got a ribbon. I still got an award.
I think it should be presented with, like. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, man. It's weird.
It makes more sense to me for it to be presented.
I mean, you presented awards.
Yeah, but just like drop the award.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, like Medal of Honor speaks for itself. Exactly. If you know anything about the military, you know about the Medal of Honor. Yeah,
it's the top of the. Basically, I mean, you have to risk your life and limb to save someone or complete a task.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically that's it, right? I mean, that's what it
comes down
more
to.
Or less, that's what it burns down to.
Above and beyond, like the Call of Duty, placing not the fucking video game. I hate that I can say Call of Duty and it's like, oh, the video game. Above and beyond, like what is expected of any, not just a soldier, but like just anybody. You know what I mean? A human. To do something extraordinary. And you read some of these citations and it's some pretty cool shit out there, man. Like they do some pretty wild stuff. And then you read some of them and you're like, I mean, that's good. Not to downplay any of those, right? Like I'm not doing that, but like there are some where you're just like, I don't know, man. I mean, that is definitely some badass shit, but like my favorite one is Roy Benavidez.
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing. That motherfucker was fucking crazy. He was raw.
Yeah, wildest story. Like he was, for those that don't know, just Google Roy Benavidez and read about it. Like it's insane. And he lived, okay? So I'm just gonna look it up, man, because I don't want to fuck this up.
Yeah, you don't want to mess this up.
But
it's a deep story, folks. It's like human perseverance overall.
Yeah, it's absolute insanity is what it is, man. Absolute insanity. I'm trying to find a citation. Oh, it's so long. Long.
Go for it.
Yeah. So for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. On May 2nd, 1968, Master Sergeant, then Staff Sergeant Roy P. Benavidez distinguished himself by a series of daring and extremely valorous actions while assigned to Detachment Bravo 5-6, 5th Special Forces Group, Airborne 1st Special Forces in the Republic of Vietnam. So on the morning of 2 May 1968, a 12-man Special Forces recon team was inserted by helicopters of the 240th Assault Helicopter Company in a dense jungle area west of Loc Ninh, Vietnam, to gather intel information about confirmed large-scale enemy activity. The area was controlled and routinely patrolled by the North Vietnamese Army, or the NVA. After a short period of time on the ground, the team met heavy enemy resistance and requested emergency extraction.
Maximum spice. Maximum spice immediately.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, dude. When a recon team is like, yo, let's kick rocks. I don't know, man. 3 action, but were unable to land due to intense enemy small arms and anti-aircraft fire. So Sergeant Benavidez was at the Ford operating base in Loc Ninh, monitoring the operation by radio when these helicopters of the 240th Assault Helicopter Company returned to offload wounded crew members and to assess aircraft damage. Sergeant Benavidez voluntarily boarded a returning aircraft to assist in another extraction attempt. So, you think about that, man. Like he didn't need to. He was monitoring the radio.
He wasn't doing shit. He wasn't. Well, I wouldn't say he wasn't doing shit, but he was safe.
Yeah,
and he saw that shit, and he heard it, and he saw these dudes come in, and he knows his maximum spice. He knows it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, "Here I go. Here, let's do this shit." That's it. For me, hats off. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Like you know damn well he didn't sit there and be like, I don't know, man. If I go, I might die. But like, they did just serve banana pudding in the DFAC. Yeah. I don't know, man. This is a tough decision. He was just like, I guarantee you, he was just like, fuck it, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
So he voluntarily boarded this returning aircraft, and then realizing that all the team members were either dead or wounded and unable to move to the pickup zone, he directed the aircraft to a nearby clearing where he jumped from the hovering helicopter and ran approximately 75 meters under withering small arms fire to a crippled team. So he's also going in knowing that like everybody he's going there to get is probably dead or wounded and soon to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this thing in the military, no one left behind, right? We don't do that sort of thing. So like he's fully like, I'm alive, but like our boys are there and they need to come back this way.
Yep.
So jumps out of a hovering helicopter, if I had to guess, probably 10, 15 feet, and hauls balls, across 75 feet of small arms fire.
Mm-hmm.
So it says prior to reaching the team's position, he was wounded in his right leg, face, and head. All right, so automatically wounded.
Those are devastating fucking wounds when you're trying to move, man.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly, man. Fuck, I'm shot in the leg. I guess I'll keep running. You know what I mean? Said nobody except Roy Benavidez.
Yeah, shot in the face. What? All right.
Yeah, flesh wounds.
Just keep moving. Keep moving.
He was probably like, I've had worse injuries when I shave.
Shit happens. Shit happens. Not a biggie.
Yeah. It says, despite these painful injuries, he took charge, repositioning the team members and directing their fire to facilitate the landing of an extraction aircraft and the loading of wounded and dead team members. He then threw smoke canisters to direct the aircraft to the team's position. Despite his severe wounds and under intense enemy fire, he carried and dragged half of the wounded team members to the awaiting aircraft. So shot in the leg, shot in the face, shot in the head, or wounds to his face and head, carries half of the team to the extraction helicopter. Like with just those wounds. And it gets better or worse or better, however you want to look at it. He then provided protective fire by running alongside the aircraft as it moved to pick up the remaining team members. So there he is, a helicopter and then him. And he's running alongside this fucking thing, just like laying down suppressive fire. One guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Still out there doing it. I mean, I don't get it, man. I mean,
it's insane. It's a level of insanity.
It ain't even done. That's the thing.
We're not even to the good stuff.
It's not even to the juiciest part.
Juices. So as the enemy's fire intensified, right? Because he's covering for a helicopter he's like in front of it or some shit, being like, "No, shoot at me, motherfucker." As the enemy's fire intensified, he hurried to recover the body and classified documents on the dead team leader. So, there he is getting the body and important intel. When he reached the leader's body, Sergeant Benavidez was severely wounded by small arms fire in the abdomen and grenade fragments in his back. So now, gunshot wound to the leg, wounds to the face and head, and now he's shot in the stomach.
You know how painful a shot to the stomach is? You know how hard it is to move all your other limbs without engaging that core?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Like so your core, you think about it, man, like your core, your rectus abdominis and then your obliques, or your rectus abdominis is your six pack or whatever, right? Your whatever you have. And then your obliques, they are directly responsible for holding your body upright. Obviously your lower your back too, right? So your erector spinae, the muscle group that runs up and down your spine.
And guess what? That muscle group got hit also.
Yeah,
so
by a shrapnel. So now he's got a wounded leg, busted face, shot through the gut, fucking shrapnel in the back. And he's like, hey, man, the show must go on.
Yeah.
At nearly the same moment, the aircraft pilot was mortally wounded and his helicopter crashed. Although in extremely critical condition due to his multiple wounds, Sergeant Benavidez secured the classified documents and made his way back to the wreckage, where he aided the wounded out of the overturned aircraft and gathered the stunned survivors into a defensive perimeter.
He saved the motherfuckers twice.
Again. One more time? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not doing nothing later. MASH don't come on until 9.
It's Wednesday, 2 for 1.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. At the Rock Fabrique. Under increasing enemy automatic weapons and grenade fire, he moved around the perimeter, distributing water and ammunition to his weary men, reinstilling in them a will to live and fight. Facing a buildup of enemy opposition with a beleaguered team, Sergeant Benavidez mustered his strength, began calling in tactical airstrikes, and directed the fire from supporting gunships to suppress the enemy's fire and to permit another extraction attempt. So there they are, busted ass helicopter, shit's blowing up left and right, fucking bullets literally everywhere. So many bullets, it's probably cutting the grass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing a much better job than my riding lawnmower does. And he's there, wounded in the leg, wounded in the face, shot through the gut, shrapnel in the back, shit's blowing up. He's on the fucking mic being like, hey, you got ordnance up there? You mind dropping on this tree line? Hey guys, no. Fuck these motherfuckers. We're living. They're dying. Wild. So while all that's going on, he's wounded again in his thigh by small arms fire while administering first aid to a wounded team member just before another extraction helicopter is able to land. So he's actively saving another dude's life while he himself is dying. You know what I mean? I mean, a shot to the gut, dude. Like, you don't know what kind of damage is causing there because you got a lot of important shit in there.
Mm-hmm. You don't know if it ricocheted off of something. It could be a fun house of crap going on in there.
Right. Yeah, you don't know what's going on in there. And so while all that's going on, he's shot in the thigh. Now you think, oh man, shot in the thigh. There's a lot of meat in that area. You're right. That's a very meaty area, and those muscles are big for a reason, right? Those are your primary movers when it comes to like running and jumping and shit like that. And so now he's got a fucking bullet through one of those. Yeah. So on his second,
a zombie by now, probably.
I mean, dude, he's probably so fucking amped right now. He's just like, woo! He's getting him some.
Meanwhile, he's getting shot the fuck up like a fuck. Goddamn.
So his indomitable spirit kept him going. Speaking of which, kept him going as he began to ferry his comrades to the new extraction aircraft. On his second trip with the wounded, he was clubbed from behind. This is insane to me. This part is insane to me because it's just insane to me. He was clubbed from behind. So the enemy was so close to him that they were able to swing their fucking, I'm assuming AK or whatever it was, and bash him in the back of the head that he's already been wounded in. You know what I mean? Already wounded in the head, and this dude wants to pop up and fucking smack him in the back of it. So clubs him in the back of the head. In the ensuing hand-to-hand combat, he sustained additional wounds to his head and arms before killing his adversary. Shot in the leg twice. Right leg, thigh. Shot through the abdomen. Shrapnel in his back. Wounds in his face. And now he's got a neat little knot on the back of his head. And he still manages to fuck this little guy up.
That's, as you know, when they say close them with the enemy and destroy them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jesus, you can't get any more close than that.
Yeah, no, I mean
that's literally from being sitting behind a radio.
Yeah.
To maybe a few hours later, you shot the fuck up and you just killed this man with your bare hands.
You know, and whenever people say bare hands, my first thought is like a bear, like growl bear. And I always say, like, how can I do it with my bare hands? I only have these human hands. But I promise you, on this day, Roy Benavidez had legit bare fucking hands. Mm-hmm. It's wild to me, man. So he kills this guy. I'm going to assume he fucking eye gouged him. I hope so. He then continued under devastating fire to carry the wounded to the new helicopter. Upon reaching the aircraft, he spotted and killed 2 enemy soldiers who were rushing the aircraft from an angle that prevented the aircraft door gunner from firing upon them. With little strength, not done. Hell no, man. He's like, what's 2 more?
Yeah.
With little strength remaining, he made one last trip to the perimeter. All right, so this is after he's already attempted to save these dudes 1 time. No, not 1 time, 2 times. And now he's like, you know what? I got some more saving to do. So he made one last trip to the perimeter to ensure that all classified material had been collected or destroyed and to bring the remaining wounded. Only then, in extremely serious condition from numerous wounds and loss of blood. Let me talk about loss of blood for a second. So your average human being has about 5 liters of blood, right? So if you look at a 2-liter bottle of soda, Pepsi, Coke, doesn't matter. So you've got 2 of those and then half of one of those. That's how much blood approximately you have in your body. If you lose 2 liters of it, your ability to function is next to impossible. Like, you can still be conscious, you'll be pale as fuck, you might be able to move a little bit, but definitely you won't be able to do the shit that he's doing. And so you got to think his adrenaline is pumping, his heart rate has got to be 200 beats per minute minimum, right? He's been wounded so many times in places that carry a lot of blood. So you got to think, I mean, he's probably lost definitely more than 1.5 liters. He's very close to that mark to where he shouldn't be able to move at all. And here he is fucking doing wind sprints in the Locknin jungle. Just getting after it.
Doing slide cancels for paperwork.
Slide cancels. Yeah.
For paperwork.
Yeah.
Suck my balls. That shit would have been there.
Yeah.
So that's why he won. That's why he's a big dog in the industry, I guess.
Yeah, right. That's why his name is known. But only then did he allow himself to be pulled into the extraction aircraft. So once he made sure all the wounded were retrieved and all classified documents were retrieved, only then was he like, all right, man, I'll tap. So Sergeant Benavidez, his gallant choice to join voluntarily his comrades who were in critical straits to expose themselves constantly to withering enemy fire, and his refusal to be stopped despite numerous severe wounds, saved the lives of at least 8 men. His fearless personal leadership, tenacious devotion to duty, and extremely valorous actions in the face of overwhelming odds were in keeping with the high traditions of the military service and reflect the utmost credit on him and the United States Army. And that was from Ronald Reagan, who presented him the Medal of Honor. So my favorite part of this story isn't even in the citation. When they got back to the Ford operating base.
Oh, yeah.
Sergeant Benavidez was essentially pronounced dead. They were in the process of zipping him up in the body bag. And the only way Benavidez could let them know that he was alive was by spitting in the doc's face. And that's what he did. They thought he was dead. And, fuck, man.
Yeah. Look at him. I mean, look at him. Look at this fucking guy.
Yeah,
he's probably barely breathing at the level, just barely enough to even stay conscious, I guess.
Yeah.
On some deep fucking monk type shit.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're going from 200 beats per minute plus to, I mean, for them to not be able to tell, I mean, he's got to be lower than 25 beats per minute. That's from loss of blood. You know what I mean? His heart.
look at this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
He shot the fuck up. They're probably looking at him like nobody's ever survived this kind of shit. Let's not even focus on it. Let's just go on and zip him up, go on to somebody else.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
probably what those fucking guys were thinking. I'm sure that wasn't the case, but goddamn, could you imagine?
I would like to think they put a stethoscope to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
sure.
I don't know if I'm hearing that or what I'm hearing. He's probably dead though. Yeah, dude. Wild, man. And so what's crazy, it's always fascinated me to read stories like this, and you just like the level of intensity that this person has to have about them in these moments to perform these tasks. But then you can watch videos of him, giving speeches and talking to crowds and all that. He does not sound like, if you ask me, what do you think Roy Benavidez sounds like after reading the citation? I would have been like, oh man, deep gravelly voice, fucking balls of steel, fucking 15-inch, dick, just massive dude, just giving no fucks, right? Got a scar across his face like, all the cool guys do.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to him talk, man, and he sounds like your typical grandpa. You know what I mean? Just a very kind, soft-spoken guy. had a bit of a mumble to his voice, but that could have been from one of his face injuries.
Yeah, more than likely.
So, and at the time, he was a staff sergeant, and he retired as a master sergeant. So he stayed in the Army even after that. Crazy. Wild. And even some of our GWAT Medal of Honor winners, I mean, they, some pretty badass stories coming out of a lot of those dudes. And I love sitting down and watching interviews with them, man, just because listening to them talk, just like how humble they are, and how a lot of them, the bulk of them, there's maybe been one or two that didn't do this, but the bulk of them are like, I didn't win it. I did not get this Medal of Honor. I was just in a certain position to be able to do something to help.
Mm-hmm.
It was the people around me. It was the situation. And so that's pretty cool, man. Like, they're giving credit back to their dudes. But it's pretty wild, man. I also really like the story of Lieutenant Murphy, Mike Murphy. You know his story?
No, I'm not familiar.
I mean, if you've read the book or saw the movie Lone Survivor, then you're familiar.
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, and that whole story is just kind of wild to me too. And I've heard that, like, in the movie when they're like having to throw themselves down this like mountainside to like escape the Taliban.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard. I don't know if it was Marcus Luttrell had confirmed it or not, but like I've heard that was about what it was like. And I've listened to some stories of his. Like, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast talking about, what happened after that once he was finally able to kind of evade the Taliban, and just those moments after that 24 hours after, it's just insane. Like, and that's that. And I talked to you about like doing these podcasts, like, but with video. Being able to see Marcus Luttrell's face as he's telling the story, like, it makes it more real. Like, I knew the story. I've read about it. I've heard him tell it before by listening to him, but seeing his face as he's telling the story, you get that 1,000-yard stare. You're remembering the details, and you're essentially reliving those moments. And I mean, he was right back there, man. But I'll tell you, dude, that's one of my favorite things about the military, dude, is that we have people like that in our ranks. You know what I mean? Like, we have these people that have this innate ability to just go above and beyond. And it's always the people that you never assume or think about. Shit, what was that guy's name from Hacksaw Ridge? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the medic.
Yeah, I cannot remember his name. Gosh, what was his name? Desmond. Desmond. Yeah, I was typing. Yeah, Desmond Doss. Yeah. Did everything that he did. I want to say he said it saved like 70 some odd dudes with no weapon. You know what I mean? Insane. Yeah. Didn't kill a single soul. He refused to go into combat with a gun. Crazy, man. I love stories like that, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and you're saying all this because, that's how prestigious the Medal of Honor is. And
right.
You wouldn't want it to get pinned on by some guy who's like a little funky with the wordplay.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I think I know it's our nation's highest military honor, and so it would make sense for the president to give it. But I honestly think that the person receiving it or the family of the people receiving it, I think they should choose who gets to give it to them.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
You know what I mean? Like, because let's say
as big a deal as it is, it may be somebody from the family who.
Yeah.
Puts it on.
You need to fix your sound, man. You went like you put yourself in a shoe or something.
I did.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when you re-enlist, right? When you re-enlist, you get to pick the time and the place and all that stuff. So that's why you see a lot of like funky re-enlistment photos, like people underwater, or like Youngblood was talking about re-enlisting on top of that spiral minaret.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to pick who you want to give it to you, man.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool. Who would you pick?
Someone, my son. I wouldn't even think twice.
You'd have him give it to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who I would pick. I would pick Jessica Alba from Into the Blue.
From that specific film?
Yeah, and so I would say, listen, I want Jessica Alba to give it to me, but she has to look like she did in Into the Blue.
Or else no deal.
Or no deal. No dice. And they're going to be like, well, fuck, man, like, we have to give it to you because you did some stellar shit. I'm like, I know. So they have to call her up and be like, hey, Jessica, Miss Alba, ma'am, so here's the deal. This guy is getting the Medal of Honor, and she'll be like, oh, I totally heard about it because he did some like real badass shit, probably the most badass shit ever, is what she'll say. Ever. Yeah, in the history of ever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
the
she'll be like,
cutting edge of ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And she'll be like, what's this got to do with me? And then they'll tell her, and she's like, yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Too easy.
Dressed in 5 minutes.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know, man. That I don't know who I would pick, to be honest. Definitely, I think family is. I want family there, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's a wild thing anyway. Because I mean, situational, right? Situation dictates, right? Like, what happened? Who all was there? And that's the other thing is like, can you even like? I don't know, man. Some of these dudes and like their stories and like all the shit that went down. I don't know, man. I can't even fathom it, honestly. Like I read some of these stories and it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
The shit that they did.
I really think like in that particular situation, not even in Roy's, because his was just so insane. Mm-hmm. Let's do something as simple as jumping on a grenade.
We know. Well, we don't know him, but we are familiar with that.
So that's second. You didn't have any time to think about that. You were thinking about something completely different.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's this issue, and you throw your fucking body on it. Like
yeah.
Would I be able to do that? Of course. For my friends, I say that.
Yeah.
Shot in both legs, fucking in the face, damn stomach, shrapneled up, fucking, and I got blood in my eyes.
Yeah. Hey.
You're still out there running. You're still out there doing shit. Could I do that?
Yeah. Dude, your audio is cutting in and out, man.
Oh, man. It is?
Yeah.
What about now?
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay.
No, now it's not. Fix your shit, dude.
I know. What about now?
Nope.
Still bad?
Yeah.
All right, I'll end this one and start a new one.
Right there is fine.
Oh, it's good now?
No, now it's not.
What the fuck?
What the fuck, dude?
I'm talking now. Does it sound good or bad?
Now, when you started, no. When it finished, yes.
It's very weird.
Yeah. But you talk about jumping on a grenade. That happened in our battalion the year later, or the next deployment later.
Yes.
Private First Class Ross McGinnis on December 4th, 2006 in Adamia, Baghdad, Iraq area. He was in Charlie Company. And if I'm not mistaken, did Sergeant Gill, did he not move over to Charlie Company during that deployment? I think he did.
I think so.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to him. I hope he can make it on because yeah, man, I bet you he's got some cool stories. Especially considering what he's been doing in the military since then. But yeah, so McGinnis, that's exactly what was going on. He was a 50 cal gunner on a truck, and a grenade was a frag grenade had been thrown into the truck, and he drops out of the fucking turret and covers the grenade with his body, saves everybody in the truck.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah,
I mean,
as a private.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's like the split second. What would you do? The ultimate thing, the highest sacrifice you can possibly put out there for anybody is to die for them. And you're going to do that right now. And you're going to face the afterlife or whatever that might be and all that kind of shit. If there is one, who knows? You're about to fucking find out.
Mm-hmm.
You got 5 seconds of just whatever you're going to have left. And then it's done. Bam. It's done. It's over. It's finished.
Yeah.
Fuck. Could you do that?
I remember when I was in basic training, my my drill sergeant, I remember them asking, who here, and I think I talked about this with Griff on the first episode, but like, who here thinks they can kill somebody? And we all raise our hand because we're all going to be like, super HUA infantry guys. And he was like, shut the fuck up. You don't know if you can kill somebody until you're in that position. And so you have your sights locked on. You don't know if you're going to be able to pull that trigger. In my head, though, at the time, I knew, you know what I'm saying? Because I know that I could justify it, right? Like, it's good guys versus bad guys, depending on your perspective, right?
Yeah, right.
But when you talk about, and we talk about selfless service, we talk about, putting yourself out there to watch out for your guys, right? To have their six. And in these particular situations, you find yourself in a unique opportunity to potentially save their lives or lose all 4 of your buddies and your legs.
Yeah.
Or in any situation where a grenade is thrown and you're there to be able to cover it up or whatever. I don't know, man. I really don't know what I would do in that situation. I would like to think that I would do the same thing that he did.
Yeah, I'd like to think. But at the same time, like, I would imagine, like, I'm going to be honest, like, human people, if 100% of the people got tasked or put in this fucking situation, I would probably assume I'd say about 50% would, dude. I'd say about 50% would jump on it for whoever was in that vehicle with him. Because he could have easily just jumped out.
Yeah.
And, I guess, dealt with life after that. Because, Jesus, that'd be a terrible fucking life.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think probably about 50-50.
I don't know. I think it might be a little less than that. I think nothing against, actually, yeah, everything against people. I think people, for the most part, suck. And I think that you give people too much credit. Now, I'm talking about just people in general. You're talking about like people that are trained to respond, to react. And you think about it, man, like all the times we were in Graf, all the times we were in Hohenfels, all the times we walked up to area Mike to do battle drills, all we were doing was learning how to react. Obviously, we don't have a battle drill for, jumping on a grenade, but all we do is react. When we go into practicing room clearances and we bust through a door and suddenly there's a target, we learn to react. We learn to immediately engage the threat, whatever that threat may be. So with that kind of training in mind, it's easy to see how that would be his initial reaction. It's easy to see how that would be any of our initial reaction. But I know for a fact when we were deployed in firefights, there were people that gave it, some second thought before pulling the trigger. I know of at least one person that was deployed with us that never pulled the trigger.
Wow.
Never. Not because he was never in situations. My opinion is because he was too much of a fucking chicken shit.
Wow.
Oh yeah, man.
Offline about that one.
Oh yeah, man. I'll tell you a specific story. That story, I lost all fucking respect for that dude.
I mean, could you possibly tell the story without laying out the name?
Yeah.
And stay factual. That would make the people who were there know.
Well, if any of our dudes listening, they might not. Dave would remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's about it, though. Maybe Meat might remember.
I want to hear this, but I just don't want to,
Yeah. No. So we were responding to. I was in Sergeant Smith squad at the time, so I was the Bravo team leader, and this particular individual was the Alpha team leader.
All right. Do you know around what stage of the deployment this was?
We were at Uvalde at the time. That's where we were staying, so it was towards the end.
Oh, okay. I think. Okay. Continue.
And he came to us right before the deployment, from a particular East Coast base. But anyway, no, man, like we were there, so like we had this dude who was at the time we had, so we were responding to a V-bid, a car bomb had blown up in this particular area, tried to destroy one of our vehicles. So we responded to this area, and we were basically doing setting up security, doing a cordon to block off the area, blah. And so if you remember in 2004, we were authorized to shoot spotters because the bad guy's tactic at the time was somebody would wave at us, and we think we're being friendly, so we wave back. But then they were actually waving at somebody on the other side of us, telling them that we were in the hot spot to engage. RPG, IED, small arms, light them up, initiate ambush. Yeah. That happened so frequently that we were allowed to engage spotters, military age males. More than likely were spotters. So people weren't just waving at us. Kids would, right? But adults generally didn't wave at us. And so every time that it did happen, the end result was, something would blow up or, a fight would break out. Mm-hmm. So the rules of engagement were adjusted and we were allowed to engage spotters. So we had this guy watching our position from behind a corner at about 150 meters out. And so there's myself and Meat. He's on the 240, the machine gun, Gregowitz. And then we had this other lieutenant who was not in our company but was with us. I can't remember why. He may have been, I don't know, shadowing the XO or something.
Probably.
So he was off to my right behind cover about 25 meters. And then just down from me, I had Dave and I had Rusu. And Dave had an M16, and I think Rusu was a saw gunner. and so we had this guy who was popping in and out of this corner, like very, very sneaky, very shady like. And we're trying to get clear shots at him, and we can't. Every time he'd pop out, he would pop back in just in time, for us to shoot or whatever. So we could never really, get effective shots on him.
Yeah.
So
He's doing the whack-a-mole.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I tell Dave to reposition with Rusu acting as cover and security for him to move over to a position about 75 meters to my left. He had good cover moving there. He had good cover when he got there, and he would have had great line of sight of this guy because it was to my left and forward of me. So he would have had a better vantage point of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Dave wasn't in my team, right? And so keep in mind, on this particular gun line, you have a second lieutenant, me, the Bravo team leader, a 240 gunner, another rifleman, and then a saw gunner. And that is it. Nobody else is over there with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I repositioned Dave. He's over there. He's waiting for this guy to show back up from his viewpoint. And like we're doing hand and arm signals and stuff because we're not yelling that far, right? We're not gonna scream at each other from that far. So this particular person comes up to me and is like, "What's Dave doing over there?" And I try to explain the situation to him, but like I'm laying in kind of a hole in the ground with Gregowitz for cover and concealment. And this dude just comes over and kicks me in the fucking foot. He's like, "What's Dave doing over there? What's Parlo doing over there?" I was like, I repositioned him. What the fuck? Why? You don't control my team. You don't tell me where my team, or you don't tell my team where they should go. Blah, blah, blah. I starts yelling, "Get the fuck back over here. Just starts. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? And like, he and I had it out. There was a firefight going on a block down from us, right? You could hear the rounds like cracking by us. We had this guy who was potentially spotting to somebody over on the other side of where we were. You know what I'm saying? And this dude wants to argue with me in the middle of all this shit about where we should position where I can position his guys. I'm not allowed to control his team because I'm the Bravo team leader. I'm the lower ranking one. Man, I about fucking punched him in his face, dude. I was so fucking mad. Yeah. Crazy shit, man. But I lost all respect for that dude at that point. And I didn't have a whole lot leading up to that because I remember being in a handful of firefights and watching him like kind of move along, like if we were on a building engaging whatever, he would kind of move along the building but never actually engage. I don't think he fired one single shot that whole time.
Maybe that was his goal.
I don't know, man. In my opinion, he was a fucking bitch.
I think I know who you're talking about. Fuck.
Yeah. Crazy story though. I finally did. That guy finally did pop out long enough for me to like get a clear shot on him, and I had my M68, and the M68 for those listening is a red dot, right? So anywhere that red dot is on your target is where your bullet goes. So you don't have to line up a rear sight aperture and a front sight post. You just put the red dot on your target and follow the rest of your fundamentals. And, so long as your zero is good, you're good. And I remember, and I learned about this in that book on combat, actually, but I remember going through the fundamentals, dot on his fucking chest, center mass of what I could see, slow trigger squeeze, controlled my breathing, all that stuff. Bam, gun goes off. It's a surprise to me. And I swear to God, I watched the bullet exit that barrel and travel down range and go directly over his fucking right shoulder into the wall behind him. Yeah. I was so fucking mad, dude. My zero was off. My sight was off. Yeah.
So it's funny you would say this. You guys had to remind me that I had actually shot somebody.
Yeah.
And like I don't recall this at all. And it's a really crazy, insane story. Overall as a, situation. It's that whole Golden Quran thing.
Yeah. Man, your audio is still fucked up though.
It's still bad? All right. You tell a story.
Okay. So the mission was we were to assist the Iraqi police with helping recover this stolen copy of a Golden Quran. Apparently, this Golden Quran was very, very, very important, and not like had more than just monetary value. It was it was very old and very special. And so Captain Rockefeller, from the start, was like, guys, this is an ambush. I can smell it. I know it is. And he was not wrong. So the mission was going to be, we were going to head out at night, right? And we're going to move along this route, blah, blah, blah. And he called it, man, we're probably going to take something along that route. And we did. We ran into, so this is a company size element. So you got to think, we had 2 of our mechanized platoons down there with us. So we had, that's 4 Bradleys. I'm sorry, 8 Bradleys. We had a tanker platoon attached to us. So they're 2 Abrams tanks, right? With the 155 cannon and 50 cals mounted on top. And then we also had the headquarters platoon, and they had their 4 up-armored Humvees with 50 cals. So we have all of this equipment out there, everything under the sun, basically, that an infantry platoon would carry. And so we're rolling out, and sure as shit, man, fucking convoy hits an IED in the ground, and then immediately followed by RPG and small arms fire. Command comes over the net, push through. So we do. We don't stop. We don't do the herringbone and try and engage, blah, blah, blah. We're not there for them. But they're probably going to show up where we are because they know.
Yeah.
We'll kill them then. So we get in position, right? We set up, Bradleys and the tanks set up an outer cordon, an outer security limit. And then there was going to be an established inner cordon or an inner security limit set up by troops. And so we, cordon is established. We're dismounted, right? And it's dark. And we're about 250 meters away from the nearest building, which was by design, you know what I mean? Because you want the cordon established first, whatever. So we dismount. We're in night vision, goggles, and all of that stuff. And we start hearing that old familiar sound of a launch from mortars. So you can launch. Now, when you hear a mortar launch, the next sound you want to hear is a whistle. If you hear that whistle, it means that round has gone overhead. If you hear the launch, no whistle, it's either short or it's on top of you. In any case, the first thing you do is run in the direction of nearest cover. Run for as fast as you can, and you'll try and get down for cover or something if you could. But we started hearing the whistle over our heads, and the impacts were just on the outside of the Bradleys. So launch and whistles and fucking impacts. There was a couple. There was no whistle. They fell short. But we make it to cover. We make it to these houses, right? So all of our squads were spread out from our platoon, from second platoon.
Mm-hmm.
So
everywhere.
Yeah, your squad, your squad, which was the first dismount squad, right?
Yes.
You guys were further down. I can't remember the direction, so I'm going to call that direction east.
Yes.
So you guys were further east from the rest of us, and then second and third squad, dismount squads, we were all gathered in a building. Now, at the time, I was the RTO, the radio telephone operator. I was the radio guy. And so we push into these buildings. We're trying to get comms. We're trying to get accountability, trying to make sure everybody's there, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, we had to bust into these people's house. They were asleep. We felt really bad about it. We apologized to them as best we could in our terrible English, our terrible Arabic. And all you can really say to them is shukran. You know what I mean? Thanks.
Yeah.
But
just keep touching your chest. Keep touching your chest.
Yeah. But after a minute, they kind of understood what was going on. Okay, these guys are just trying not to get blown up, and they were like, "Yeah, I'd do the same thing. Welcome." Mm-hmm. So chaos ensues, right? So now the Bradleys are being engaged. They're fucking firing 25. The tanks are engaged. They're firing 50 cal. More mortars are coming in. I'm on the net trying to get accountability of your guys' squad, our squads, relay that information to command. So basically trying to establish some type of command and control, and so we can figure out what we need to do next.
Yeah.
So
I think in the meantime, while all this is going on, me and a person from our squad happened to find cover in a hole in the street. And we just stayed there. It made the most sense. It was so spicy outside. So spicy that if we were happened to get out of this hole, we would have been shot for sure. We would have been fucking dead. A fucking RPG flew right over the top of us. When I say right over, I mean like from me standing, I could have stuck a hand in the air and slapped it.
Yeah.
Which would have been terrible. But that's how this fucking thing flew over.
Yeah.
And then you're starting to see people outside now.
Yeah. And so you think, okay, it's night. I think we didn't push until probably 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. I think curfew was a thing at the time. So they had to, everybody at home by like 9 or whatever the hell it was. And shit's blowing up outside. Guns are going off. It's a full-on firefight. And, so anybody that appears in the street, should be considered dangerous. You should be considered Mr. Bad Guy, especially if they are what we're calling, military-aged males. And as it turns out, you guys encountered a military-aged male.
Yes.
And on a bicycle.
Yep. All right. So I'm starting to remember more of this now. In my head, I did the computations. I'm like, all right, again, like kind of exactly what you said. It's dark. It's late. It's late. What is the zoo doing out here? In the middle of the thick of the spice.
In the thick of it.
He's out here. Yeah. Fucking riding a bike. Who's doing this? Why would he be doing that right now?
Yeah.
I think me and my battle buddy who was in this hole, we kind of had a few conversations.
It was some crazy shit though, right? Crazy shit though, right?
Yeah, I say it's crazy because it was just me and him. That was it for a minute. I mean, it was just me and him chilling.
Man, I probably would have pissed myself, man. That's some shit right there.
I think I was on the saw. I think I had the saw at that point.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you were saw gunner.
I think he had the regular old M16 A4, whatever the fuck.
A4. So people listening, the saw is the M249 squad automatic weapon. It's a light, fully automatic machine gun. Shoots the same size caliber round as an AR or an M4 or M16.
Excellent weapon to have when you're out there, by the way.
Apparently for you, huh?
Yeah. So
the thing is though, I mean, and you talk about doing these computations like late at night, in a firefight, and here this guy is, doing his fucking paper route, right?
And it's not that he's doing a paper route. We have information that they have people who are out here spotting.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And plus, you don't know. I mean, his bike could have been his only means of transportation, and he didn't want to be late to the gunfight, so he was just like booking it. It's like, no, Mom, I gotta go. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's just what he was on. He didn't see you guys in the hole, but he could have been en route to something. What's crazy is he could have very well have been. He could have just planted an IED. He could have had a suicide vest on of some type. He could have had grenades. Keistered. You really never know.
You don't. So I fucking shot him. Bam. That was it. I think that was one of the first ones I gotten.
Yeah. It was probably more like bam, bam, bam because it was a saw.
Well, I did not want to leave this fucking guy suffering.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was that.
Yeah.
And I thought about it later. I thought about it later that night, but I didn't think about it at that moment because, like I said, I don't remember a lot of it. But at the same time, what I probably was thinking was, it's just still just me and this person in this hole, man.
Yeah.
We got to do something.
Yeah, man.
Another fucking person comes out here, they can join him, I guess.
For folks listening, man, if you're not in the military, I mean, it's really kind of hard to explain what that situation is like, in just a small story, right? Like you actually have to be in that situation to determine what you would do. The thing is, you think about when somebody asks you, what would you do in the situation? You really don't know. I mean, yes, when I was a private, I in basic training, I knew that I could pull the trigger. But when it came down to it, did I actually know? Who knows, right? I mean, we found out that, I absolutely could. I had no problems with it. And I still have no regrets over that. But when you think about these situations, here you are, from where you live, 11 time zones away, you're 9,000, 10,000 miles away from home, right? You're a young kid. I mean, you were 21 in Iraq, right? You turned 21 in Iraq?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So 21, deploying to, like, you had already done your will, right? Fully accepted that you're going to die every single day, right?
Yeah, that's the only way you can fucking deal with it.
You go to this country where you don't really want to be for reasons that we don't really understand. We just know that, like, the guy to my left, right, and six, they got to get home, and it's my job to do that. And so you find yourself in the middle of this firefight, shit, bullets are everywhere, and you see this fucking guy on a bicycle. Now in 2004, rules of engagement were a lot different than later years, because we were allowed to engage spotters and typically people that not always armed or whatever the case was, just because of how the tactics that were used at the time. And so, people like to say, they like to hear a story about that. And like, well, you didn't get positive identification. That makes you a bad person. But, like, you don't know what you would do in that situation. And you acted in the best interest of you and your battle buddy in that hole, and ultimately the rest of us. Because that guy very well could have had some type of explosive device on him and rode up to one of the Bradleys in the back and destroyed it. Vehicle down, right? Three guys in the track dead. There's no telling what could have happened after that.
The night, to just sidetrack just a second, then we're going to get back to the Golden Quran part, which is the craziest part of the whole thing. The whole room full of stuff. Anyway, let's go right into that. What happened to the other squad? What they were doing? Was that your squad?
Yeah. So there was two squads in this building. We had, I don't know that we had roof access, but we were definitely, in the bottom floor. So there was a group of us in the foyer outside. So we had the big iron gates opened, and I remember looking, man, and to this day I cannot think about it. Or I'll explain. So to this day, I'm sitting there in my night vision on a knee, watching a Bradley and a tank engage an RPG team up on top of a 3-story building. And they're just going ape shit. And through my night vision, I can see all the tracers. I mean, you can see the tracers without the night vision, but, like, you can definitely see them with that. And you're seeing ricochets, you're seeing sparks from the Bradleys, from the 25 millimeter high explosive rounds, impacting. And it's and in that moment, I thought to myself, the national anthem, the rocket's red glare, right? Like, the bombs bursting in the air, and all, I cannot. Every time I hear that part of the song, that's the only thing that I can picture in my head.
It was mayhem.
To this day, mayhem. to this day, that's still that image. That still pops into my head, and it's crazy to me, man. It's powerful. It gives that portion of the song, and then obviously the whole national anthem, very personal meaning to me, and because it's just wild, man. Like, we lived through that. It was nuts. It was a good time. But the rest of the mission, though, so we finally got accountability, got everything established, blah blah blah, and so we had a couple of objectives that we had to hit. So going into this, we knew it was going to be an ambush. We knew roundabout how the ambush was going to play out, but Captain Rockefeller said, "We're here to do a job. We're going to do that job." Roger that, sir. So we move out. We move out to our first objective. We get into that house. We clear it. If I'm not mistaken, it was the first house that had nothing in it. I think we had 3 houses to hit. The first 2 were right next to each other, and then the third one was further down.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go into that first house, all clear, lights out, nobody home, not this house. So we go into the second house, and so we bust through the fucking door. I think we use like a hooligan tool to bust the door in, and we go in. And we start clearing the house room by room, right? Lights are out. Some lights are on, I guess. I know some lights were on from what I remember, but I don't know if initially they were. But anyway, we're clearing the house. We're going room by room. So we have our outer security of that particular objective, and they are outside. And then, the rest of the platoon is in the house. And so at one point, we're clearing rooms, and somebody notices there's a door that's, behind this refrigerator. So they start to remove the refrigerator out of the way, and they notice that there's some type of wiring configuration around the door, like the door handle or the piece that locks it or whatever shit it was. Around that same time, or at that same time, if I'm not mistaken, Doc Skillen was like, "This house smells like gas," and like his eyes got real big. It was like, "Holy fuck, this house smells like gas! Everybody the fuck out! Everybody out! Everybody out!" Got outside, and they started crunching the numbers, and we're like, "Wait a second, wires on the door, house smells like gas. Open the door, spark, boom, everyone's dead or wounded as fuck." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And relay that information to Captain Rockefeller, and if I'm not mistaken, it was right after that he said, "Fucking mount up, let's roll out. Fuck this shit. IP's on their own." Come to find out, that house that I watched get destroyed, that building that I watched get leveled by Bradley and a tank, was the Iraqi police station. And a lot of the people that we had killed that night were Iraqi police. The same people that asked us to go off and do this mission. So, imagine that. That was kind of a theme for the year.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of wild shit like that, and like you said, as soon as it got kicked off, as soon as it got going, we knew like this is a fucking ambush. Just give me a break, dude. If you want to fight, we can go out to the field and fight. If you want to fight, we can do it Civil War style. I don't give a shit, but I mean, you want us to go get this book? I mean, Quran and all this kind of crazy shit. Like, come on, man. Like, give me a break. But we did it.
Yeah.
And almost lost a whole bunch of friends over it. And I was sitting in a hole the whole time. I shot a guy on a bike. That's all I got. But fuck.
And
it was extreme. I guess it was just so extreme. We had blocked a lot of it out.
But
I've shot a guy in a similar situation, and he was coming up behind Sergeant Goff's Bradley the same night that you said you saw all those bodies around them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was me and two other dudes. I could explain that one eventually.
Well, I think we got time.
Oh, fuck. Okay. This was like Baton Rouge, man. This was
day one.
I don't even think it was day one. And we were in a safe place. We had overwatch over the back of Gauls Bradley. And anything that tries to come around that corner, we got him. Okay.
Yeah.
So, again, I got the saw. We had a saw and two M16s up there. And we can hear Sergeant Goff engaging people. He's popping off pretty much almost at a constant basis. Like constant. I can hear the mosques are going off in the background. You can see tracer fire going off in different places. And then it was quiet. Super quiet. Nothing's going on. And then it'll kick right back up. Like it was nothing. So it was like a yo-yo kind of a thing. But Sergeant Goff is over here still basically engaging. So me and two other guys, we're sitting on top of this building that's still under construction. Not really on top. We're probably about the 5th or 6th floor of this building. And we blasted some holes through some walls so we can watch. And we're watching shit. We see this guy come around the corner. Couldn't see his hands, but you could see he's ducking around. It's fucking being squirrely. And there's a bunch of wild shit going on out here. A bunch of wild shit going on. I'm watching this fucking guy. He's fucking leaning up against walls and stuff. I'm like, hey, you guys see this dude? Like, yeah, we can see him clearly. Like, I can see his face. I can see his face now. So clear. So this is right here in my head. And I'm like, all right, well, he's getting close to Sargol's track. And I don't know what the fuck he has in his hands. So what are we going to do? Motherfuckers got to go. That's it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So we were at a safe place. Safe place. We didn't have to engage anything. I guess, right?
I mean, you know.
I mean, we're safe.
As soon as you do you give your position away.
Yeah.
So there's that potential threat.
Shit. Yeah, that's our only worry. But I'm worried about something happening to Sarn Golf. You know,
right?
We got stores with them with all kind of shit. You don't want to see your friends get hit from behind like that. So we had a countdown. Fucking as soon as he stops and he peeks around the corner, waste him. I counted down. 3, 2, 1. I let off a burst. The other two guys let off a few shots. I watched the blood splatter off of them. Watch them drop to the ground. This is at night. I can see clearly because there's fucking, street lights and shit like that. They don't even need nods. Position be damned.
Yeah.
It was just had to protect those dudes. I never told them that. I don't think anybody ever told. We'd never talked about that. That's the first time I ever talked about that, period. I'm not going to name names. Yeah, I won't name names about that because,
yeah, I mean,
some of those guys could possibly be still trying to do something militarily or could be trying to do something with their
yeah, you're right.
careers or whatever. So,
yeah, I was gonna say,
I've had a couple of situations like that.
I was going to say, I've known you since 2002 and I've never heard that story.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, come to find out later on, yeah, he had a fucking weapon, but hey, it could have been like if we were one of those type of folks who were like, hey, we need to have 100% confirmation before we pull this trigger. When that 100% confirmation is that person firing off a rocket.
Right.
I mean, RPG. That's what I meant.
Or
or shooting off a fucking IED or some crap like that. I don't need that confirmation. I got a gut feeling. That was that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the name of the fucking game, dude. That is war. I mean, and that's what people don't seem to understand, man, is like your ability in those situations to make these decisions that literally cost life or death. You know what I mean? Yep. Like they are literally life or death. And here you are, at this point, you're about to turn 21, right?
Yeah, it was October 1st. Yeah, October 1st. I didn't turn 21 until later. We got our CIBs the same day. I turned 21.
Yeah,
so I have the same CIB.
And so here you are, 20 years old, and having to decide whether or not this person lives or dies. Well, yeah. I take that back. That person, the moment they decided to go do what they were doing, decided that they're going to live or die. They decided that they're going to die.
It was worth the risk to them, I guess.
Well, that's what I mean, though. And so what my point is a lot of times when you think about in those situations, I killed that guy. I decided whether or not they lived or died. I decided their fate, their death, whatever. No, they did. They decided it when they decided to go do what they were going to do. They didn't have to pick up arms and go fight us. I mean, I totally get it. If the roles were reversed, if the turns were tabled, and somebody came into my country, I don't give a fuck who they are. I'm going to do the same thing that they did. I mean, I get it.
But in my case, man, I had to have 100% control over that person's living or dying. That was my call. That was that.
Yeah, I guess.
Me almost playing God for a second. Because I didn't know. I mean, besides not knowing what the fuck they're going to do about, coming up behind Sarn Golf's track, and I couldn't let that happen. I just couldn't.
Yeah,
wasn't a possibility. So that was it. Bottom line.
I mean,
extreme.
Yeah, it's just a wild thought that like a lot of people. I mean, I think about like, you know, that I know that are about that age. I mean, I got nephews that are around the same age that we were when we were deployed, and I just don't know if I can see them doing those things. But again, we had very specific training. We were treated a lot differently than somebody who was that same age who was not in the military, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot more is expected of us, right? We have to have that attention to detail. We have to have the enough intelligence to be able to make those split decisions. But yeah, it's a big deal. It's a lot, man. I got my my one and only confirmed one and only that same night. The next morning actually.
Oh yeah.
What
was the deal with that one?
Well, the 203, man. So at this point I was a grenadier. I had graduated from being the radio guy. They made me a machine gunner again. I got moved from the radio to the machine gun as a corporal. I got my promotable status, so they made me a corporal. And then I remember First Sergeant Salinas asking, Bill, like, hey, what's a corporal doing on a radio? Roger that, First Sergeant, I'll change that. Back to being a machine gunner. It's like, okay. But that was when we were doing Hands Across the Desert, so I never really got to do anything fun with it.
Just it around.
Huh?
Besides just carrying it and taking cool pictures.
Pretty much, yeah. And actually all the pictures came out looking goofy. But so then right before Baton Rouge, I was made a grenadier and the Bravo team leader of that squad. And yeah, man. So we were up on this fucking rooftop. They gave me this 203. Now, the only time I've ever shot a 203 was paint rounds, and it was when I was in basic. That was it.
Mm.
I had no idea what a fucking quad sight was or a leaf sight, and this one didn't have one. So it was just a fucking tube on the bottom of this M16A4. I was like, okay, I'll figure that out. But like we're on the rooftop overwatching that intersection that you're talking about, and or thereabout. And daylight is. We moved in October 1st, right at midnight, so for Baton Rouge, and then up on this rooftop, and the squad we're all up there, and this dude starts shooting from across the way. I think I talked about this in one of the first episodes, actually, first or second one. But like, dude is in a room on the third floor. Third window, I'm sorry, middle window, 1, 2, 3 windows. He was in the middle one, but he was shooting from the back of the room. He was recessed, so we couldn't get a clear shot at him. And that's a really smart tactic. Like, you don't want to like just put your gun out the window because bam, there you are.
Yeah, a lot of good snipers do that.
Yeah. So he's taking these shots at us, and like the bullets are cracking and snapping and impacting and whatnot, and nobody can get a clear shot on him. But I was the only grenadier on the roof. And I was like, fuck it, man. Like, why not put a grenade in that room? And so when we were in Germany, old P. Diddy and I would go out and play pool sometimes. And he used to teach me how to play pool. And so I was bad at math, but like pool's a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of geometry and angles and shit. And so thanks to that, I was able to kind of look at like, okay, so this is how long the tube is. And like, that's the distance, blah, blah, blah. I just fucking kind of lined it up, man. And I was like, okay, so I'm thinking the arch will come out looking like this. That's what the trajectory should look like. Mm-hmm. And so I fucking put it about where I think it should be, and I fucking launch it, man. That first round, I shit you not, man. First round, direct impact.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That I did not have that kind of luck with that 203 all the time. There was a couple times where I definitely overshot. Yeah. No, we used to use dumb shit too, though, man. I used to see how many rounds I could get in the air before the first one impacted. So I used to like max elevate the gun, pretty much point it straight up, and just keep firing them until the first one impacted. Like, I think my record was like four in the air while before the first one impacted.
Jesus.
Yeah. I was almost a Mark 19, man. Almost.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're almost a Mark 19.
obviously, I didn't just go do that willy nilly, right? Like I'm not just out there just launching grenades at at random shit. Like these were in gunfights. I was still engaging the target. It's just and my rounds were impacting in those particular cases where they needed to impact. Just for clarification, there, like I'm not just like going fucking gun nuts, but yeah, man.
So that was your first one.
Yeah, and that's my only confirmed one. I mean, that thing up on the ODA house where the SF dude had me put like 40 rounds of 7.62 armored piercing into an apartment building probably tagged a few folks, but who knows? You never get confirmation on that, but
yeah.
But
I had a couple. I had a few.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised. We didn't. We're running with Sergeant Gill Squad, man. He's gonna have you in the spiciest positions, and man, if your head ain't on a swivel, you're gonna miss something. And I think we caught a RPG team of dudes. And I think I had one other one, and then I had a couple of other engagements in the Bradley. But that first one, I guess I blocked out. I guess the only that one that I remember the most is the one thing regarding Sergeant Golf's track.
Yeah. Well, that sounds definitely more personal. The first one, it makes sense to kind of block that one out just because of how your brain processes potentially traumatic events. And that's actually a pretty normal thing. On Combat talks about that too, but it's like a form of like temporary amnesia. But that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to recover all of the memory unless it's jogged, right? Unless something brings it back or something specific happens or whatever. But that is interesting that happened to you. I don't. You really need to read that book, man, because like I'm telling you, a lot of the things that happened that I remember experiencing, like slow motion. Another cool one that I always thought was cool was an auditory exclusion. If you go to the gun range and just practice shooting, whatever, put in ear pro, right? Because you don't want your ears ringing. Yeah. But when you're deployed, obviously, like we would wear them when we could. But when you're in the heat of the moment, like when you're in a fight, man, you need to be able to hear commands.
Everything.
You need to be able to hear
everything.
Yeah, right. And so you can't always have hearing protection in. And now, don't get me wrong, I have hearing loss now, but my ears were never really ringing after a firefight. And so your body does this your brain does this really cool trick where it does like it's basically a form of sensory exclusion, right? So like if a sense isn't exactly needed in a specific moment, then your brain can terminate it. You know what I mean?
For example, folks like those of you who drive Dodge cars, you have like cylinder deactivation. If you're not really, if you don't need all the power right now, it's going to redirect you to other spots. Same thing.
Yeah. No, it's a really neat trick, man. So they've done studies, right? A person in a dark room, and there are, you can stand in a dark room and you can hear a sound and you can hear a pin drop, but that's because your brain is adapting. Your brain says, well, I can't see anything, so we need to increase the juices elsewhere. So I watched this, man, I cannot remember the doctor's name. I think she was a psychologist, or I can't remember. But basically, she was learning to navigate an obstacle using echolocation, like bats do. There are blind folks that can do that.
Yeah.
And she was wondering, well, is it possible for humans to learn, not humans, but like people who are not visually impaired to learn how to do that? Turns out you can. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was an average of 17 attempts at the course before you got somewhat decent at it. Yeah. It's I don't know. It's fascinating to me what the brain does in those situations. And that book, I'm telling you, like it really breaks it all down. It's good shit.
Good shit.
Good soup. Yeah. But yeah, man.
The body's a wild thing.
For sure, dude. Yeah, I honestly, people ask me like, oh man, do you like reading? It's like, I hate reading unless it's about something interesting, man. Like, I can't read fiction. You know what I'm saying? I can't read like fake stories and try and sit there and imagine what the world's going on. I can't even focus on a fucking paragraph to the end of it. You know what I'm saying? You want no, no, take that shit the fuck out of here. I can read psychology books though, because that shit grabs me. You know what I'm saying? Like that interests me. I can read military type books, man. Inside Delta Force is one of my favorite books, and that book actually got my fucking heart rate up.
You read a lot of things, man. You read a lot. You talk about a lot of things you read. You know what I read? Like books about musicians.
Yeah.
I think reading about those stories from the dudes back in the 60s and 70s and all kind of shit, I think that shit's fucking cool as hell, man. I don't know why, man. It's just fucking cool. Like, I think the last book I read was actually Scar Tissue by Anthony Kiedis.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy stories, you know.
Yeah.
It's to me that's more interesting than a lot of the crap out there now. I mean, it's what I like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I like reading about real shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm, I think I mentioned this before. I'm a little ADD, so trying to keep my attention for too long is pretty difficult. And I'm always fidgeting and doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole time, like I've been like wrapping my towel around my hand, like I'm in what was that movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bloodsport or whatever the fuck it was? Like wrapping his fist and dipping it in the glass. Actually, I think a better comparison would be in Hot Shots Part 2, where Charlie Sheen's character is dipping him in, what was it, like fucking honey or some shit, and sprinkles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my kind of fight, man. Constantly fidgeting, man. But like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really care to read about. And I say this as a big fan of music, and I used to play music pretty regularly. I don't really read about their stories. I don't know what it is, man. I don't care. I think it's no, and I say that, but like there are some dudes out there who, and I'm sure that book Scar Tissue by Anthony Kiedis, man. I'm sure, man, like there is like some shit in there that inspired a lot of the art that he wrote. But what makes Anthony Kiedis any different from anybody else?
Nothing really.
He can sing.
I mean, this dude's a piece of shit, to be honest.
Oh, is
he? Yeah. Like, I'll read the shit and I'll give you the truth, like, about what I actually think about it. And he's like a fucking jerk. He's a fucking asshole, and the fact that he made it this far is nuts.
Huh.
Wild life he had. And the kind of situations that he put himself in and made it through.
Yeah.
Like, it's a proper title for that fucking book and song. It's like, get your shit together. How many chances do you need to? I guess, and it's kind of a wake up call for me, because I'll read it every now and then just so I like get a real grasp of how fucked up things can actually be, because it's important to just you. I'm sorry, what?
It's important to like be reminded, or to kind of be kept grounded.
Yeah, you got to stay grounded, because he way too many chances, man. And in my particular life, I'm like, fame be damned, you can still really fuck this up really, really bad and affect a whole lot of people in a really negative way, and still somehow make really good music that people love, and still keep it to yourself where nobody knows that you're going through like addiction, heavy duty. And there's probably some people out there listening right now going through the same shit. Like, dude, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm not saying like I've been through some crazy shit, because I've been through some crazy shit, but it's okay, dude. Like,
yeah,
man, it's crazy. But it's okay. You'll be okay. Like, reach out to folks and talk to them.
Yeah, that's one thing that I don't ever talk about. I talk about it as far as like, if you see a buddy in need, obviously jump in and help out, whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah. But like, I don't talk about my own problems with suicide. Because I've definitely been there, right? Like I've been to that point where like, yeah, no, there's no reason at all for me to be alive right now. Might as well just go ahead and fix that problem. You know what I mean? Like a couple times, and I'll tell you, man, like everybody has a thing, right? Like, and I think it's important that you have your thing that keeps you grounded in some way, whatever that thing may be, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Something you keep in your pocket, a necklace that you wear, a fucking book that you have to read all the time, to be, to kind of like look back on those stories and kind of like a reminder of something. Because you think about like all of these things, whatever it is, they are constant reminders that like shit can be worse. I'm not alone, and there is no reason for me to have these thoughts and follow through with it. And for me, those two things, or that one thing, those couple of times, was my dog Shotzi. The one thing the one thought that I had, because I mean, again, ADD thoughts are all over the place. Even when you're talking about like fucking putting a gun in your mouth and blowing your brains out. I was like, well, how would I do it? And I go through this whole process. Well, I'm not going to hang myself. That sounds painful. You know what I'm saying? Because, that sounds painful. Like fucking quick and painless, right? Bam. Right through the head. Blow the front part of your face out the back. And then I got to thinking about myself. I was like, okay, well, where in my home, at the time I lived in an apartment, I was like, where in here would I do it? Because I don't want to like cause any damage, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to like have them like rip up the carpet, even though this place was like crummy as shit anyway, and the carpet definitely needed to go. Probably would have been doing them a favor.
You were dead. What would that have even fucking mattered?
Because exactly. Exactly. It's I didn't want to inconvenience people. It's a thing, man. Like I made that decision when I was 6.5 years old on the way back from my oldest brother's funeral. That if I could, then I would never. If I could make people happy when they were sad, then that's what I would do. And if I was ever any an inconvenience or a way that I could make somebody more comfortable, then I would, blah blah blah, whatever the fuck. Anyway, and that's a whole other story. But so I went through this whole thought process. Like, well, fuck it, man. I'll just sit on the edge of the bathtub, put the gun in my mouth, blast my fucking basically separate my fucking spinal cord from the base of my head, my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, I'm dead. Bullet probably goes through the sheetrock. They can replace that pretty easily, and the rest of it's just wash it down the drain. You know what I mean? And like easy peasy. Then a month later, somebody's moving in, like nothing happened. Probably not even that long, like two weeks tops. But then I got to thinking about like my fucking dog. I was like, well, fuck, man, like. What if somebody doesn't hear the gunshot and she's left in this apartment for over a day or two and I don't get to feed her? She's a puppy at the time. Well, I don't want her in here licking up my fucking chunks. I don't want her in here laying at, the lifeless body fucking all sad, because that's what dogs do, because dogs are amazing and we don't deserve them. And that's the one thing that stopped me. Pretty much the same thing with the next time, because I was living in California and depressed, man, fucking hated life. Had nowhere to go except where I was. And at that point I was like, okay, well, if I do it out here, like, man, like who's gonna take care of my dog? So, and I couldn't do that to her. So, but I'll tell you, that was the last time. And because that moment, like, it really put things into perspective in my life. It got me thinking about shit, man. It made me realize, like, I called my mom the next day, actually, and tried to sound as normal as possible. And she just heard it in my voice. She's like, Kevin, what's wrong? And I tried to be like, nothing, everything's good. But I fucking broke down like a little bitch. And so, yeah, man. Moms always do know. And so we got my situation figured out, and I came home to Arkansas, and I got my shit straight. I got my brain in the right place. You know what I'm saying? I started putting my focus elsewhere, and on staying more positive, on trying to be more mindful, trying to be more aware of how I'm making other people feel, and then how other people are making me feel. Because that's a whole other part of it too, man. Like sometimes we don't want to let go of things. But we have to, because those things are what's holding us down or what's holding us back.
Mm-hmm.
And and sometimes, man, you just got to fucking cut ties, and it sucks, but that's what it is. You have to do what's best for you.
Yeah. You got to think of it as a rebirth, almost like you
Mm-hmm.
You didn't carry out, but you got to restart now.
Yep.
Because you can't continue to go down that way that you've been going. And, as a police officer, man, I've been to a lot of suicide calls.
Yeah.
And the first thing that the first good training officer had told me about suicide calls is he always says, suicides suck. Make sure you don't leave a mess, because somebody else has to clean that shit up. Because we're always there to clean that shit up, and we're always there to have to tell the families, which is really a fucking terrible thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, your uncle is hanging from a tree. He's gone. It's a rough fucking job, man.
Yeah.
Like,
fuck that.
I don't know how many times I've had to make a death notification call to a family just to explain. I mean, I don't know. I can't explain what happened. I have no clue what happened. He went through a lot of shit. He or she, or they, in some cases, went through a lot of shit and decided to call it a day. And I'm just telling you that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been through that conversation so many times where people break down. I sat on a boat with a dead body once, just waiting for the sun to show up so he can pour him and his father a drink. He clanked the drink, had his last drink with his dad, who was hanging from a second thing, and he leaves. Some people react in a different way.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But it's always the same, man. It's a fucking mess. Somebody's got to clean it. Never fails.
In those moments, man, what do you think it was that kind of like helped you maintain your composure, though?
It's a job. And
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of soured me a little bit on police work. It was a job. Like, I've seen a lot of horrible stuff in the Army, like shit you can't even explain.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see even more horrible shit with police stuff. Police people always ask, like, is police work and Army work, military combat type shit, the same? It is not the fucking same. You cannot compare the two. People always say you can. You can't. Even the guys who are military and police who say it's the same thing, they're fucking lying.
I mean, maybe they're trying to make that.
Why.
They're trying to make that like that connection or that justification in their head.
No. I mean, sure, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't give a fuck about that. It's money. Money's the difference between the two. Because money will stop somebody from trying to save somebody because they don't want to lose their paycheck. In the military, you're gonna fucking go, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you can never compare. To me, having been in both situations, in both houses, wearing two different hats. Military, I mean, the police is nothing like the military.
Yeah.
Plus, you can always go home at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
I think,
but
man,
I've seen like horrible shit from humans. I think even worse in the police side of the house because it's on purpose and it's fucking malicious and dark and crazy.
Well, I think there's, that makes logical sense though, because you think about it when you're deployed to combat, like it's expected to see horrible shit. But when you're patrolling the streets of the town that you're from, or that's the town that you've been to a billion times, or whatever, that's a different reality than what you're used to. Yeah, man, that's gotta. And over time, man, that has to. I think you used the word sour. That would have to just kind of numb you to those things. And it gets to the point where it's just like, it's just as casual as saying good morning to somebody, on your way to work, whatever. Because it's frequent.
Frequent, man. It's like rape reports. Like, can you imagine? You're sitting there interviewing someone who just went through, or at some point went through, the most traumatic shit you can possibly have to happen to you. as a human. And now I need you to tell me exactly what happened.
Right.
Step by step.
Yeah.
Don't leave out any detail. I need to know all of it.
Right. And that has to be done as soon as possible.
Yeah. And I'm going to try to find the person who did this thing. I'm going to try to find this person.
Right.
Okay? I'm going to make you feel like crap. Tell me the story again. And then I'm going to try to find him.
Right.
Good luck with everything.
Right.
You know? Crazy.
Yeah, no, when I went through MP reclass, all of our instructors, or most of our instructors, were civilian law enforcement. And, and I've asked several officers this in the past before, but one of the classes that we had, was about, what to do when you come up on situations like rape, or children, be it abuse or sexual abuse or whatever. And I remember asking the question. I mean, I have to give all the props to any law enforcement officer who can walk into that scenario or find the person who is guilty of it and not want to beat the absolute fuck all out of that person, because I don't know have that in me. Man. I don't have that in me to not do that.
Been there, done that, man. Mm-hmm. 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left in this.
Yeah, no, I would.
Yeah, been there and done that, and it takes restraint, like a restraint like you wouldn't believe, because the story is true.
Yeah,
everything.
You've seen
this
the
little girl. Yeah, everything this little girl and this little boy is telling you is true. That's what he did,
and
he's just standing there. It's like,
yeah,
it takes a lot, man.
Yeah, and especially considering what makes it more difficult for me is I think that I would be okay with it if I knew that the justice system fair in that regard. But for a pedophile to get 3 years probation, time served, blah blah blah, no, absolutely not. If I honestly, I feel like if they are found guilty in the courtroom right there, ask one of the family members, do you guys want to do this, or do you want us to do it? You want to do it? Okay, fine. Bam, dead. The family wants it to be slow and painful, by all means. No, they deserve absolutely no remorse. You know what I'm saying? Like no reprieve. Like no. Fuck that.
Yeah.
If you prey on the weak and the defenseless and the old or the young,
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Those kind of calls are always the ones that kind of, and I suppose at some point I might get into some of them in the best way I possibly can on the show. But those are always the ones that make you really second guess, like, is this fucking shield worth it?
Yeah.
When dealing with this. Yeah, it's great dealing with saving these people from it happening. But man, when you're sitting in the car with the guy who did it, oof,
yeah, your
skin crawls, you itch. Oof. It's hard to focus.
I couldn't do it. I tried. I definitely, went out to be an officer, tested and all that stuff, and was offered the job. But later on, I was offered the job, and I came down on orders to mobilize, so I didn't take the job. But in looking back on it, man, I don't know, man. I don't know that I could do it, and especially with the way things are in America now, with all this defund the police and cops are bad, ACAB, right, 1312, all that fucking bullshit.
It's all a bunch of goofy bullshit, man.
It is all a bunch of goofy bullshit. It really does blow my mind how all these people are just going to be cop haters, but the moment that their fucking well-being is threatened, they are Johnny on the spot with that 911 call.
Yeah. But that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. So people are always going to be like that. Those are opinions.
Yeah.
Opinions are, abundant. But the facts are, you're going to see some really fucked up shit. And you're going to really question humanity in some cases.
Yeah.
And you just got to do nothing but suck it up and drive on and go to the next call. Or go to sleep.
Yeah. And so that's the other thing, man. Your shift comes to an end. Or, this happens at the beginning of your shift. You haul that motherfucker off to county or some bullshit, and there you are, back on the street, having exposure. And your next call, you pull somebody over who's an absolute fucking Karen, just giving you shit because she was going 15 over the speed limit through a school zone, and she doesn't seem to understand why the fuck you're pulling her over, not knowing that just before that you had responded to one of those calls, and you're still trying to process it. I mean, it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Like, I watched a kid die in the hospital. Like, these doctors work on him, die right on the table, right back out there on the street, right back to the next call. Like, man. And then, like I said, try to go to sleep after.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, man. It's fucking wild. This episode was heavy.
Yeah, it was. I think we might have to put one of those warnings on it.
Yeah. Trigger warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, thanks for listening to Before I Forget about all kind of wild stuff. Yeah. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
No, it is. You're right.
You need to get it off your chest. I need to get it off mine.
No, absolutely, man. And people that listen need to know that they can get it off theirs.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. So, like, listen, subscribe, share, and thank you, and have a good day.
Yeah, we'll see you on the see you the next time. See you around the corner. What do they say? Catch you on the flippy floppy.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Yeah.
All right.